Hi, Chris. It's so nice to get to hear more about your work and your practice. We are talking from the Bookarts Guild Inaugural Members Show, and your work, Night Thoughts, was featured.
Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself and your work?
So my name is Chris Saclolo. So I love to make books, and I'm also an illustrator.
Oh, wow. So exciting. So this piece is clearly not your first. You've been doing this for quite some time.
Yeah, so my practice is primarily bookbinding, and so I wanted to merge the two. Most recently, I've been starting to do a lot more illustration, and I wanted to incorporate that into bookwork. So I've created this beautiful picture book that I hand bound, and yeah, it's really important to me.
And certainly we're working within the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic. So this work is responding directly to some of those spaces and experiences as well.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to show us?
Yeah. So basically it's a short poem that I wrote, and it illustrates pretty much the poem. And yeah, I definitely was pretty much experimenting with typography, the way how it's read on the page, and also just the illustrative works itself.
Can you tell us about the paper process and printing?
So the printing of this book was digital. So it was inkjet printed, and yeah, I bound the prints together. And yeah, that's pretty much how the book ended up. Originally, it was supposed to be a pop-up book, though, many different iterations later on, it ended up being this traditional drumleaf binding.
Can you tell us more about the binding?
Yeah, so the binding itself, it's a long process, but essentially it's a non-sewing binding. So everything in here is glued together. Though it's a very simple process, but it does create this very beautiful quality to it, where the pages continue and there's no gutter loss with the images.
And how does the illustration come to life and work so well with the text?
So the poem itself is about the thought process that happened to me during COVID. Just to think in a quiet setting, which is usually when I sleep, before I sleep. And I wanted to convey that in this book, where, the process of trying to relax, trying to de-stress from the overwhelming things that are, happening in our world. And so this is pretty much a very intimate poem that I wrote. So yeah, I wanted to illustrate that in a way that, reflects myself in it, and then also kind of gives a glimpse of, what I've been going through in this time.
So these materials are really bringing together a very personal interior experience and kind of exposing that to a more public invitation.
It is, and it's for me, it was very therapeutic in a sense, because it's giving myself up and kind of showing part of myself in this kind of in a very intimate setting. So.
And it has this beautiful box. How does that work together?
Yeah, so the slip case,
thank you,
goes in right here. And here's the slip, and then it also has my name on the back. And then it has this ribbon that you pull up.
Wonderful.
So it pops up like that.
So has this been editioned, or do you have plans to edition it?
Right now, this is artist proof edition, which I intend to make at least 2-3 more, depending on the material that I'm working with.
And would you consider a series? So if we have Night Thoughts, would we also have
that's
Morning
a possibility.
Thoughts?
We'll see how that goes. Usually I do one-offs of subject matter. In this case, it was more of, I really wanted to get the theme of, the group exhibit together. So.
And what are you working on next?
I'm actually working on a couple of illustrations for another book. It's another COVID-related book. But yeah, it's a structure that I have not done before. It's a non-traditional binding structure, so I'm hoping that I could pull it off.
So it sounds like you have this very well thought out practice of book structures, and that you're sort of working with experiences that are kind of unstructured and maybe, that terrible word that everyone says these days, unprecedented. So what do you think about how those structures works together?
Well, for my own practice, because I have a book arts background, I tend to gravitate more towards the traditional sense, but I've been trying to experiment with other non-traditional forms like accordions, and I don't want to get into further detail of what this next book is going to be, but yeah, I definitely am trying to push myself in other directions in book arts.
Wow. Well, at the Book Arts Guild, we're so thankful for your work and your presence, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Thank you.
Thank you.